Whee! Alright kids, today we're going fast. Well, maybe. We'll see how fast this thing gets up to. So here we have a Honda Shadow 1100. So the Shadow 1100s were made from 1985 to 2007. The Honda Shadow lineup of motorcycle has always been Honda's street cruiser category. They're not big touring bikes, but they're certainly more than a moped. So over the years, we've seen Honda do a 500, a 600, a 700, a 750, and then the 1100. So this motorcycle weighs in at about 550 pounds dry, so all gassed up with coolant oil, ready to hit the streets. We've got to be getting close to that 600 mark. Now, to rocket this 600 pounds down the road, we are making 67 horsepower and 67 foot-pounds of torque from the 45-degree V-twin engine. The exact displacement is 1,099 cc's. This bike has a 5-speed transmission and it is shaft drive. Now, since I've ridden and owned, I think about all the Shadow sizes now, you know, our Shadow 600s, the VLX, those for me would top out around the 87 to 89 mile per hour mark. The Shadow 750s, for a shaft drive 750, you'll get up to about that 95, 97, and then your chain drive 750s. A chain drive system just puts more power to the ground. A shaft drive kind of eats up some power just in the drivetrain. So a chain drive 750, you'll reach about that 100 miles per hour, maybe a touch more. But the 1100, I have no idea. Now, there's been a few different trims and models of this 1100. We've had the Ace, the Arrow, the Sabre, the Spirit, which we have here. And all of those models are going to be shaft drive, but the Spirit models, rumor is they're geared 14% higher. Well, and that's not a rumor, those are facts. So Honda kind of chose to make this their highway warrior, even though some of the other trims of 1100 seem more touring oriented, or they certainly look that way. Wider handlebars, wider tires, longer, more wraparound fenders. But no, Honda chose to gear the 1100 Spirit just a touch higher. So you just go a little bit faster in every gear, and from riding this around a little bit, that is very noticeable. I would say even first gear, I was extremely surprised at how tall first gear was. It makes getting off the line and starting out on this motorcycle, it gives it a little bit different feeling than some other cruisers. And if I try and shift into top gear, fifth gear on this, if I'm going about 55 miles per hour, it just seems like it's bogging it down too much. My RPMs are too low. So I'm really hopeful at what speed we can achieve on this Spirit 1100. So let's place our guesses. Place your bets. I think we can for sure hit 100 miles per hour. I feel like that's a given. I would be very surprised if we don't. But beyond that, I'm gonna say 110. I think that I can get this motorcycle to 110 miles per hour. All in, full tuck, just on the flat, but we'll see. 110, that's where I'm putting my money. Just curious if it's gonna be more than that. So that's enough blabbing. Now we're gonna gear up, we're gonna jump on this thing, we're gonna hit the streets, we're gonna go out to our normal drag strip top speed area, and we will let this Shadow 1100 sing. Gonna be a good day.
All right, the Shadow 1100. This is like a notorious grandpa bike. There was only one time that I saw a gentleman under the age of 40 on one of these. We're in neutral. Press the start button, a little gas. Sure. Fires right up. And we've just got the factory exhaust. What does it sound like? Kind of tractory. So I guess we'll see if it can tractor us to 110. Well, and there is just something about being on a cruiser, get that leather jacket, get the cowboy boots going, and you just feel like a real man. Here we go. Ooh, that tall first gear. Oh, well, so just cruising at, 40 miles per hour there. I am in third gear, and I feel like I'm barely idling. I just barely am touching that throttle. So that makes me hopeful at what we might reach for a top speed. Just putting right along. So the Shadow 1100 is funny in the sense that, I guess we just had a Shadow 750. And the 750 is fun and playful. The motor sounds mean. It likes to be revved up and revved out. But this 1100 compared to the 750, this just feels, the motor, you can just tell the sound of it. It's just bigger. This motor is bored and stroked to just be kind of a high torque highway king. So it is very comfortable to just find one speed and cruise at that speed. Oh, our road is closed. We gotta get over. Wow, plenty of torque and passing power. The sound isn't exactly like music to your ears with this stock exhaust, but I'll tell you what, this thing doesn't wait to get up and go. She just scoots right along. And yes, of course, I already have some shotgun exhaust pipes on the way. Already ordered. We're gonna make it loud. I ordered exhaust within 12 hours of owning this thing. Here we go. And we'll slip around. Not gunning it anywhere, but this thing has so much low end and mid-range torque. It is very nice. All while not making me feel like I'm on some huge motorcycle. Honestly, riding this thing, it feels about the same size as our Shadow 750s. So, you can dip it around the corners. It's no problem. It's very maneuverable, while just having more highway potential. And you'll see when we get out here in the country to our drag strip, I'll do some riding where I just cruise at like 75, 80 miles per hour. And we'll kind of evaluate how that feels. I'll do a 0 to 60, 0 to 100 pull, just so we have those times as well. Oh, little doodle. So yeah, in third gear, just barely idling. If I just touch that throttle a little, oh man, she rockets. It's not a rumble that you get from this motor. It's more like a grumble. It's like blah, 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 blah. I wouldn't say the Shadow 1100 has a fierce engine sound. It feels pretty friendly, even though it's decently quick. Now, according to the specifications and this motorcycle on paper, it's supposed to have a 0 to 60 time of 5.3 seconds. So that's fast enough. We're gonna be right up there with all of your, slight performance cars. Obviously, the new Corvette or some Lamborghini, he's gonna get us. But everybody else, they'll be left in the dust. And yeah, this thing can hit 60 in second gear pretty easily. Well, and that's one interesting thing that I'll mention as well. As tame and as put as this motor is, that's kind of the first half of the rev range. The last half of the throttle actually is kind of mean sounding. Once you get those RPMs up, because you hear that pop, but then the second half, oh man, she wants it. Golly, I think we got something here, kids. I think we got something. Let's just do a roll on from 40 in second gear, I believe I am. 3, 2, 1, lift off. 60, 65, 70. Second gear will hit 70. That is unbelievable. 85, 90. 95. 100. I am not tucking down yet. Just shifted into fifth gear. Ah, crap, road conditions got bad. We got a lot of dirt and gravel in the road there. We'll tame it down. Okay, so it for sure is gonna run to 100, no problemo. That kind of let you know how tall this Spirit 1100 is geared. Yeah, that second gear was taking us to 70, and I just shifted. I didn't hit a rev limiter or anything. So that was kind of cool. All right, and this is gonna be the top speed drag strip. So I'm gonna cruise up and down it first before we completely rip it. I would always recommend that to anybody who's gonna do a top speed run. Cruise that road once or twice before you rip it. Even if it was all clear and perfect yesterday, that doesn't mean it's gonna be clear and perfect today. Yeah, so about 60 miles per hour in top gear. I'm just barely revving that throttle. 55, yeah, almost seems a little low to be in your fifth gear. We'll get to the top of this hill up here. We'll wing it around and we will just send it to the moon. All right, what do conditions look like? Do we got any traffic? No traffic in front of us. No traffic behind us. We checked the road. It's clear. Conditions are good. Well, so I've never done like a hard launch on this, but I guess we'll start off here with one. All right, on your mark, get set, go. This feels weird to launch with those tall gears. I mean, it was just starting out, it was like, whoa. Because I was trying to feather the clutch and not completely bog it. Of course, we'll try it again, but all right, get over this hill. We'll take a look. Coast is clear. Sender, baby. 75, 80, 85 miles per hour, 90 miles per hour. Pull back a little bit until we get over the hill. All right, sender, baby. 95, 100 miles per hour. 105. I'm tucking down. Can we get to 110? I think we will. 109. 110. 111. 112. 112. It was 112. She didn't have anything past that. That was it. That was all she wrote. 112. So we did hit my 110. I was a little leery of that when we first got to 100 miles per hour. I was like, oh, does it have another 10 in her? Yeah, she did. She did. Oh, man. This thing's a missile. No, not really. Hardly. Well, we'll launch this one up to 100. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? All right, for this launch, I'm gonna feather the clutch less, and I'm just gonna try and get the clutch let out as fast as I can, so it's just all engine and less me. So on your mark, get set, go. I'll tell you what, the 0 to 60 ain't bad. The 0 to 100, it gets pretty slow after like 80, 85. But that's fun. That is fun. I have always loved just taking cruisers, you know, some of the cruisers we have, whether it's a 250, 750, 1100, 1300. It is just fun to rip them. Well, you know what? Just not completely revving her out, but just doing like spirited, it's a shadow spirit, but spirited acceleration. It's fun. It feels good. Man, the torque just trucks you along. The horsepower ain't gonna blow your mind, but it is certainly enough to have fun with. All right, so we're in top gear. I'll just bring it up to 75. So there we are at 75. How much throttle am I giving it? I would say 25%. So it really just doesn't take much to get this thing up to highway interstate speed. And not too much for vibrations. You feel like a low, subtle pulse from that bigger 1100. But as far as buzziness or uncomfortability, I don't know, dude. I think I could probably be on this thing going down the highway all day at 75. Let's bring it up to 80. Okay? 80, literally the same thing. It doesn't feel any different for strain on the engine or buzziness. We'll go to 85. And 85, how much throttle? I would say I'm about 40% throttle, feels like, to maintain around the 85 mile per hour mark. So very nice. And how agile does the bike seem at 80, 85, 90? Very agile. I do have brand new tires on this too, but yeah, this is an interesting bike. You get big bike perks, the taller gearing, more torque, just a very planted feel. But you get a lot of qualities that a smaller bike might have in a good sense, in an enjoyable sense, that it's just approachable, it's maneuverable, it's predictable. Oh man. Do a smack on second gear. Oh yeah, baby. This is hilarious. I just look like everybody's grandpa ever of all time. And I am having a grand old time on a Shadow 1100. Oh, baby. That's, well, that kind of took me by surprise. I've certainly ridden a handful of Shadow 1100s over the years. I have never owned one yet, personally. So, of course, I've never done an all-out top speed run or really gotten to just play around with it and see what the acceleration and stuff like that is like. But now that I own this one, we can goof around on it and really see what it has. I like it more than I initially thought I would. We'll just do another launch. Not a crazy launch, but we'll just, as if you were in traffic, sitting at a light, the light turned green, how would you rocket off the line? Probably something about like this. You can watch our speedo there. This thing does not struggle to get up to speed or anything. I'm really curious how it'll sound once we get that exhaust on it. Kind of some slash cut turn downs, or, well, I forget what you'll see soon enough. Well, I just looked at my camera. You guys have got some bugs in your eyes. Let me wipe them off quick. My little camera cleaner will clean you up. That'll do for now. And it just idles there. Everything just sounds perfect. It's just... These are good bikes. These are good bikes. And you'll see these Shadow 1100s for sale. I typically see them between $2,500 and $3,500. Sometimes I'll see them down to about $1,800, $2,000. Sometimes at that price point, they'll need some things, maybe new tires or fluid changes, controls need to be adjusted. But I paid $2,500 for this here. It was actually a local little super small dealership not far away. And I had seen that they had this. They initially had it priced at $3,000, and it wasn't selling. It's got, 20,000 miles. We just crossed 20,000 on our ride right here now. But then they dropped the price down to 25, and I was like, well, for 25, that's at a price point to where I can do whatever I want with it. I can bob it out. I can just ride it, and I'll probably never lose a cent on it. So that's always the price point I try and find bikes at, is right at the spot to where I don't think it'll ever be worth less than that if I just keep it in good condition and running as it should. So a motorcycle for $2,500 that is capable in every way of driving across the entire country. Like right now, some washboard on that side of the gravel road. All right, we got a car coming. I'll jump back to my side. So yeah, well, this motorcycle, it's got the get up and go. The performance factor, it's there, that you're going 0 to 60 in, 5 something. So that's quick enough. It's certainly not slow. And then the tall gearing, the comfortable feel that this bike has when it is at those higher speeds, 75, 80, 85, I think you've got a budget, potentially touring bike here. It's funny, the 1100 it seems like about 1100 is right on the cusp for sizes of motorcycle between, what's considered small or a mid-weight cruiser and what's considered a larger cruiser. I would not consider this a large cruiser, whereas some 1100s, some brands can certainly feel that way. Even other trims of the Shadow 1100s start to have that larger feel to them, with wider bars, wider seats and tires. But the Spirit, gosh, it's right on the line. The Spirit 1100 is not a big cruiser. It is not a small cruiser. It is bigger than a middleweight cruiser. So what do we call that? What category does it fall into? I think it falls into the category of this could be a forever bike. It's got enough get up and go that it might satisfy you there. Got enough capability that you could do the trips or longer jaunts. The price point is right in the sense that, gosh, this is very affordable. And with a shaft drive cruiser, it's not like chain and sprockets. You're not going to re-gear this thing for, more torque and gear it lower. You're not going to gear higher to get a higher top speed than that 112 that we hit. This cruiser, just as it sits, is essentially just what you get. If you don't like it, you got to look for something else. If you do like it, I think it's going to treat you well for a long, long time. I think you absolutely have a cruiser here that could outlive you and I. And this bike, the condition that I got it in, this is just a perfect example of this motorcycle has been ridden. I mean, there's just weathering on it. There's little chips and stuff in the paint, and the engine, has plenty of corrosion on the aluminum case. I'll see if I can't buff some of that out. But this motorcycle has just been ridden its whole life. And so that's always what I love to see. I mean, sure, it's fun to buy a garage queen that's in perfect condition. It's 20 years old and has 1,000 miles. But you don't find that too often in these Shadow 1100s because they are just made to be ridden. Man, they're practical, they're easy, they're cheap, they're predictable, they're reliable. Parts are everywhere for them. All your basic maintenance is very easy to do on these. And you've always got to suspect all that stuff when you come to a model of motorcycle that has literally been made for over 20 years, virtually unchanged. And that is absolutely the case with this one here. Started in 1985. Minimal changes. Like I said, you get a few different trim models. That Ace, Arrow, Saber, Spirit, and I'll do a full review on this bike and we'll really go over The differences of this bike over the years, how the different trim models vary. I mean, there's a reason that Honda did not change it, you know? And you'll see that with any manufacturer. If it ain't broke, why fix it? And home sweet home. There is neutral, it finds it easily. Couple final victory revs here. I mean, not too shabby.
Well, and there is the police chopper up there, if you can see it. It's like they heard of somebody who is wreaking havoc, and now they can't find him. Which the police did contact me, and they're like, hey, don't be doing anything crazy. And I was like, we never do crazy stuff. And even just now, that was all in kilometers per hour, not miles per hour. So let's do our recap. Oh, they're still up there. They're literally just like circling above us. Also, who knows? Maybe we'll get some friends that interrupt the last part of our video. So the Shadow 1100, surprising. So a couple things are interesting, but well thought out on this motorcycle. I have to say props to Honda. So it's interesting in the sense that you have a cruiser that is geared fairly tall. This is crazy. This is making me uneasy. Maybe 200 yards above us. So you have a cruiser that is geared fairly tall, so you would think that, okay, maybe it has a high top speed. Well, 110, 112 miles per hour is not blistering fast, right? That's not some street demon, some missile. And this 1100 is only cranking out 67 horsepower. So you would think, why did they gear it so tall when it only has 67 horsepower? You know, it weighs about 600 pounds, so your power to weight, nothing's gonna blow your mind there, but it makes cruising down the highway at that 70, 75, 80, 85 miles per hour so easy. I mean, easy. You don't even have to think about it. And you can rock it up to those speeds in third gear easily. And then once you shift up to your top gear, that fifth gear, then those speeds, I mean, 80 miles per hour was just like glass. The motor handles it perfectly. The shaft drive system on this bike is perfectly silent. You get no chattering, no noise there. And with the stock exhaust, keeping this bike fairly quiet as far as sound goes, yeah, you're just perfectly sitting there in a nice big wide saddle, and all you get is just the noise, the sound of the wind. I mean, and it's so carefree. Your mind can just wander as you're just king of the highway. And that you can do all that for $2,500. Yeah, I think you might have something here. Decent top speed, the high gearing, inherently reliable platform. I think the Shadow 1100, it filled a great niche, a great gap in the Honda lineup, even though this motorcycle got discontinued in 2007. I mean, nowadays you have the Rebel 1100, I guess is Honda's street cruiser in that engine size. Not comparable at all. It's just two different bikes, totally different feeling, sounding. I mean, a brand new Rebel 1100 is tiny. This feels like a proper motorcycle. I am not some giant, some huge person. I mean, I'm 6 foot tall, 150 pounds. And while this bike doesn't feel small, in no scenario would I ever say it feels big or unmanageable in any scenario or situation. High speed, low speed, town, highway, for what it is, what you pay for it, I give it 5 stars. You have to. This is a great finisher to the Shadow saga that we've kind of been through. So comment with any questions you guys may have. Otherwise, like the video if you had fun today. Subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time.